When I was 6, I didn't live in a house. I lived in a hotel, not just for a holiday, but for 6 whole years as I stayed up growing up in the Four Seasons service apartment in Hong Kong. So my neighborhood wasn't streets or parks. It was escalators, glass walls, and designer shops inside the giant IFC mall. And I had moved there because my dad had a job there. And honestly, hotel life was kind of its own world. Our living room usually smelled like room service, which was a little strange, but kind of fun. And don't ask why I was doing homework on my toilet bowl. Every day after school, my favorite place to unwind was the rooftop jacuzzi overlooking Victoria Harbor, where me and my dad would soak there after dinner, talking for what felt like forever. And then there was the food. Everywhere you went, you could smell egg tarts, sweet, flaky, and gone the second you touched them. So dieting, that was never an option. And Friday nights were special because my parents would bring me to this little Japanese restaurant in the middle of Central. And it wasn't fancy at all, just a few wooden tables, warm lighting, and soft Japanese jazz humming in the background. But to us, it was a secret gem. And we always ordered the same comfort food, soba udon noodles. And looking at it right now just makes me hungry. And then back then, I didn't realize how rare those nights were. Eating with my parents, living in a hotel, soaking in the jacuzzi, it all felt normal. But that was until the day my parents said, "We're moving back to Singapore." And that's when it really hit me. All these moments in Hong Kong, walking around in IFC, living in the hotel, soaking in the jacuzzi, and eating at that same Japanese spot over and over again. They were gone, just like that, and it felt like something important had disappeared. I didn't want to leave my friends behind too, or the childhood crush that I was about to confess to. So I tried to hold on to those days, but they slipped away faster than I expected. And years later, whenever I go back to Hong Kong, I go to those same places hoping to find that feeling again. But it wasn't quite the same. Something was missing. And the magic just wasn't there anymore. And that's when I started to understand impermanence. How we don't really realize something is special until it's gone. And honestly, I don't like how our minds trick us like that. When our school announced TEDx, one word caught my eye: evanesce. It means to fade away as it happens. And this word made me realize that those moments in Hong Kong and in my life in general, they don't just disappear after they're over. They fade while we live in them. And that also means that the chances we have to make choices in those moments aren't endless. They're fleeting. And sometimes all it takes is a quick 2-second decision to change everything. And those 2-second decisions matter more than we think. They're chances that wait around. But I wasn't always good at noticing those chances. Because when I was 13, my dad asked me a question that would have changed everything in my life. When I was 13, I went to the US for a trip. My family and I had been touring some schools in the US as my dad was considering letting me study there. And we came across a school called Choate Rosemary Hall, which really, really stood out. Imagine Hogwarts, but with open lakes, open fields instead of those towers. It felt magical. And these 2 pictures were just a mere glimpse of the actual beauty of the campus. And so on the plane back to Singapore, I was filled with excitement, thinking about the countryside experience with a new life, new friends, and freedom. But something was holding me back, and I just couldn't figure out what it was. And then a week later, my dad asked me, "Do you want to study in Choate?" 7 words that could change your whole life. It seemed like an easy yes, but I hesitated. I was scared. Scared to live alone, scared to leave Singapore, and most importantly, scared to leave my family. because 4 years away from family felt like a huge deal. So I said no. And before I knew it, that door closed on me, and my dad never asked again. Several years later, my friends that went to the US kept on bragging to me about how beautiful life is there, full of spirit, freedom, and growth. I mean, just look at that. And I had wondered how different my life would have been if I had said yes. Have you guys ever stumbled across those life in the US TikTok videos showcasing the yellow buses, the football games, and the amazing sunsets? Yeah, I was going to be experiencing that. Furthermore, I was going to be experiencing the countryside life. Imagine sitting by the fire at night and talking with your friends while looking at the stars. Or even enjoying an amazing countryside view after a long day of school. Yeah, I missed that. And that 2-second decision ultimately ended up shaping my path. But I'm grateful, because that path led to a wonderful life in HCIS with my amazing friends and teachers. And after that, I realized the importance of those 2-second decisions. And I learned that not every important moment comes with fireworks. Sometimes, all it takes is a quick 2-second decision that can change everything. And I learned to seize the opportunity whenever given or whenever I see them. And I learned to live differently after that. Because during my cash trip to South Africa, I met a tall Dutch volunteer named Sam. Now, we were two strangers thrown together in a busy schedule, with me juggling my school activities and getting my CAS in, and him volunteering elsewhere. Now, we rarely met, and our conversations were brief, maybe 10 minutes here and there between tasks. But despite coming from different backgrounds, with him from the Netherlands and me from Singapore, we still connected easily, and it felt as if I met the Dutch version of myself. This is a photo of us in South Africa. And I knew moments with him were rare and fleeting. I could have just kept it to myself and focused on my own schedule, but something nudged me to speak up. So one afternoon, when I was talking to him, on impulse, I said, "You should come to Singapore. My house will be your hotel." He hesitated for a second, then pulled out his phone, checked the flights, and said, "Okay." And 1 month later, he was sitting in my living room eating steaks and fries for breakfast. And that small little invitation opened up a door to a rich cultural exchange and a deep friendship. I showed him the bright lights of Orchard Road, the futuristic Marina Bay Sands, and the thrills of Sentosa Adventure Cove, all in which he does not get to experience much back in his hometown. And he also shared stories about Dutch life, educating me about their culture, like how they have a very vibrant party life, or how people were very direct and honest with each other. I remember one time we were deciding what to eat, and I said, "I'm fine with anything." A common sentence that a lot of people in Singapore like to say simply because we try to be polite. And he was confused and asked me, "Why don't you just be clear on what you want?" Because he explained that in Dutch culture, people like to be direct and honest rather than being vague and indirect. So in the end, we resorted to bak kut teh, where I also taught him how to use the chopsticks. Oh, and did I mention about their height? Just for reference, his family's average height is 190 cm tall. You heard me, 190 cm tall. And every time I stood next to him, I felt like I was hanging out with a human giraffe. Even the MRT was not tall enough for him. And we bonded over those moments, laughing so much I almost lost my voice. But it wasn't just about the fun that was so meaningful about all of this. It was about the valuable lessons and knowledge that I took away from this experience, as well as the lifelong friendship that we have created. And now, as a sign of gratitude, his parents are actually inviting me over to spend the holidays with them in Switzerland, where I'll get the opportunity to ski down these beautiful mountains and wander through the magical Christmas markets. So it's crazy how unexpected life can be and the beauty of it really. And if I had hesitated back then in South Africa, then that 2-second moment would have slipped away like steam, and all these memories with him, including the memories that are to come, they would have never happened. So sometimes, the smallest opportunities lead to the biggest adventures. And now, before graduation, I want to encourage you all to cherish your moments, be it in school or outside school, because they matter more than we think. And by acting on these quick choices, that's how we turn these moments into memories that stay with us. And change isn't comfortable, I get it, but hoping for something just isn't enough. We have to say yes to discomfort. Get up, put the phone down, and start. Life doesn't offer golden gates. Rather, they offer small doors and little openings to try something new. But it's up to us to step through. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Seize the seconds that you have, because even a few minutes between classes can be enough to begin something new. And because I learned to seize my seconds, I have created countless memories that resonate with me. And some of these best memories are simple. A night under the stars, jokes with friends, or even a family hug. They teach us gratitude, humility, and awareness as they remind us to cherish what we have, to be present, and to appreciate the people who fill our lives with love. And those values ultimately do shape our lives. So if you're thinking about trying something new, just go for it. Like famous Roman poet Horace said, "Carpe diem," seize the day. Seize the 2-second choices that shape your life. And instead of feeling sad when something ends, remember the words of the famous poet Rumi. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. Thank you.